here, and this is Killer Kyle.
At this point in time, this is about 04, 05, I think, somewhere in there. But WWE was really creative as far as certain things that they did to hype up matches. Because, like, the whole thing with Undertaker appearing on, like, a screen during an interview, or appearing behind Orton in a mirror, or the blood on his dad's face.
Yeah.
And then, like, afterwards, Randy going to, like, therapy, and that really emphasized the danger of the match, but it also emphasized, like, just how far into Randy Orton's head not only the match itself, but Undertaker was getting.
Yeah, it really showed that Randy Orton can do more than just be the third generation wrestler.
Yeah.
That he was. And his matches with The Undertaker. And that's why I really like when they say Undertaker will make you famous, because that's kind of...
It's basically the truth.
Yeah. I mean, if this feud didn't happen, I don't know where Randy Orton would be.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You had Triple H put out a hunting thing to capture Steve Austin, the rattlesnake.
Oh, yeah.
And you get this snake, and it paralyzes, it spits whatever venom out on Triple H's eyes. So you have Triple H come out to the ring, and he's got the whole scars or whatever, blisters, or
yeah.
And there's the backstage segment where Austin is going after Triple H, then Triple H suddenly turns, and it was a fake out the whole time. So it's kind of like, this was an interesting feud.
Yeah.
Austin and Triple H always had good feuds.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So this was basically one of them.
Yeah. I mean, the whole premise that, like, Triple H got locked in a room with a rattlesnake, and the rattlesnake ended up biting Triple H and, like, making half his face go numb, and he's wanting to get revenge on Austin meanwhile, the whole time it was a setup, really showed you the in-depth mind frame of Triple H and just how far he would go to get an advantage on an opponent in a rivalry, and just, you could say, the overall mind game that Triple H could play on an opponent. I mean, they don't call him the cerebral assassin for nothing.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, this isn't really a SmackDown moment. It's more of just an overall general observation, I guess. Talk about the career, I guess you could say, of Eminem.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Joey Mercury and Johnny Nitro, or obviously, as he's known now, Johnny Mundo. And fuck off with the Johnny Impact thing.
Yeah.
But here's these two guys that really made names for themselves separately. You've got Johnny Nitro, or, whoever he was. He was basically that surfer type California, long hair, I think, tan, chiseled. And then you have Joey Mercury, who was the guy that got his face crushed by a ladder. Which,
Wicked.
very shocking. In just a few weeks, which also led into his real life drug addiction.
Yeah.
But you take these two separately, and you have Johnny Nitro turn into Joe Morrison.
Yes.
And then Joey Mercury, who basically was behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And he became sober, and then became a part of the Straight Edge Society. So, to me, this was really cool just to see that.
And then, after the Straight Edge Society went their separate ways, you didn't really see too much of Joey. I think he still was doing a lot of backstage, behind the scenes stuff. I think he's a producer or an executive or
Well, you have
whatever.
the shit he did with Jamie Noble.
That's exactly what I was just about to bring up. Straight Edge Society severs ties,
Yeah.
parts ways. You don't see too much of Joey Mercury for a little while, and then all of a sudden, here's the Authority, and lo and behold, there's Joey Mercury with Jamie Noble and J&J Security, and that whole thing took off.
Yeah. When people want to badmouth CM Punk for the guy he is, you have to remember, if you watch the DVD and you see the story of Joey Mercury and how messed up he was, and I guess he was living with Punk, and he's, the straight edge guy.
Yeah.
And he's looking at Joey, and he's upset, and he's sad for Joey, and really turned his life around. Did the Straight Edge Society with Luke Gallows,
Yes.
or Doc Gallows, whatever,
Yeah.
and Serena Deeb, and it was really cool just to see that. But yeah, Joey Mercury, well hell, even Melina, you don't see too much of anymore.
I think she's pretty much retired from wrestling.
Yeah, like she's out and about, but you
Yeah.
don't know where she is. There was a spotting of her last year in Peterborough in some restaurant. I can't remember the name, but that was kind of odd.
I'm sure she probably still might do appearances on, like, maybe an independent wrestling promotion.
Yeah.
Or, little things here and there, but she's mainly, like, keeping to herself. I think she has her own YouTube channel, as she does.
Look what I can.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
For the most part, she mainly keeps under the radar, you could say. Then, of course, yeah, John Morrison on Impact right now, and Joey, I'm sure, is still doing behind the scenes stuff for WWE right now. Well, then again, so would be Jamie Noble, but
Yeah, you look at John and overseas doing AAA and meeting Ty Valkyrie and then getting married to her, and it's just pretty cool just to see a Canadian and American get together in Mexico and just kind of, you know,
get to know each other, fall in love with each other, hit it off, and bingo bango bongo bob's your
Pretty
uncle
much,
they're
yeah.
married.
So, I mean, you look at Joint Mercury's career, and yeah, it could have been more, but unfortunately, it didn't go that way. It kind of did, but it wasn't the same after he left Eminem.
No.
So,
Well, I mean, when you get a ladder smack you in
God.
the face and pretty much destroy your face,
yeah,
not much.
I
too
thought
much.
Sanjay Dutt's eye was graphic.
Oh, that was brutal.
Yeah,
Absolutely brutal.
but wrestling's not fake.
Definitely.
Okay, so I believe this happened on SmackDown. You have Triple H, the WWF champion, not WWE champion, and he is trying to push his way in the company. And then Mr. McMahon comes out, and he's a face now. And Triple H is like, well, you're challenging me for the title? And McMahon's like, I'm not a wrestler. I'm not, whatever. Which is a lie, because you fucking fought Steve Austin the year before.
Yeah.
So, they had their match, of course. Both were kind of, well, actually, McMahon was more so bloody. You have Stone Cold come out. He stuns Triple H, beats him up, and gives McMahon the pin. 1, 2, 3, and the new WWF champion, Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
And you look at his run as WW, well, it wasn't very long. But you look at that run compared to ECW title, which was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have thought in 93 that Vince McMahon, many years later, would capture the WWF title.
I know, right? That's just one of those things where it's like boss really using their power in a way that benefits themselves. Because, I mean, like, in what other organization would you ever see the boss
Yeah.
try and gain notoriety by gaining something that is meant for their employees, you could say?
Yeah, pretty much. And, yeah, and that's kind of what I thought too. I didn't think that Vince, being the guy who was the CEO or the owner, could have or should have gotten into the ring and wrestled, but he did. And there was a part of me that wanted to see that. Mostly with Austin, but, I mean, his thing with Triple H was pretty good too. I mean, they really sold that storyline.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They really made the $1 billion princess, But there it is. I mean, this match for that time was kind of groundbreaking, as opposed to, wrestlers don't just have to be champion. It could be the chairman or anybody for that matter.
Yeah. I think one of the major things is just the overall concept, idea, and craftsmanship of SmackDown as a whole.
Right.
Because they did so many different things with several different wrestlers and women and all this other stuff, and This SmackDown as a whole is really great, and it continues to be really great. Even now that you've got like Bobby Roode, Mojo, AJ Styles, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So, I mean, here it is.
Well, one moment I believe that really should be talked about, and hasn't been talked about yet, Kurt Angle and John Cena.
Okay. Well, you see Kurt Angle do an open challenge. And it's like, so John Cena is basically the new kid in town.
Yeah.
So Kurt Angle goes into the ring and he's talking about how he's the best and how he has the 3 eyes and all this other shit. And then he calls somebody out. Well, here comes the young man known as John Cena with his spider haircut. And so the classic, what do you have, possesses the whatever, you know, worthless, crush him. And then he punches Kurt, and you really thought John Cena was going to devour Kurt Angle. And
Yeah.
in a way he kind of did, but Kurt Angle got the better of John Cena that night anyways.
Oh, I mean, John Cena made it as close as possible. But Kurt just seemed to have that little extra luck in his pocket, you could say, and get the win.
And that's how you make somebody, and I think that's kind of what was awesome about it, is that's him was making a guy like fucking John Cena, I guess, into a household name, and then John Cena would eventually be his own character. The whole thing with the rap gimmick was awesome, and unfortunately didn't stick with that. But,
Yeah.
you know, he still became his own character. But, yeah, so I think that John Cena was definitely SmackDown made.
Talk about if it wasn't for Undertaker, Randy Orton wouldn't have gotten to where he is.
Oh, yeah.
If it wasn't for Angle, Cena, I don't think would have ever made it half as far as he's gotten today.
And you want to look at the symbolic, you know, Undertaker shaking John Cena's hand out of respect.
Oh yeah.
But
You can get cheered by the fans, a pat on the back from your Mr. McMahon and all these other guys, maybe Michael Hayes, Road Dogg, or Dean Malone, whoever. But if you can get a seal of approval from the dead man, you know you're getting somewhere.
oh yeah. Yeah, so I mean that's pretty cool. So I guess we're almost done. There's one left that we should talk about, and even though we're Canadian, it makes sense because, and I'll get to this in a minute, the tribute to the troops,
Yes.
you know, September 11th, 2001, the world kind of changed forever.
Oh yeah.
The Tuesday, you know, having the ring decked out in red, white, and blue, and having the wrestlers all standing there with the American flag or Old Glory, and just being in unison, just being together,
Yeah.
and having, you know, people speak out, you know, it just kind of was what the WWE stood for, Americana. So,
Oh, absolutely.
I think at my age, I didn't understand it. And I said this before in the video. I didn't understand it. And that was just me being an ignorant kid. So, when you look at the whole thing, it's like those were people that died in that building.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who they were, they were senselessly killed.
Yeah.
And so the WWE, or WWF at the time, being who they were, they decided the show must go on. We can't just forego all of this. So they
Sit around and mope and be sad.
And because Vince is a guy who is all about the USA, he decided that he was going to take action. And, this was a good show.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You had a lot of tears too, but it was also a celebration of humanity, I think.
Yeah. And one thing that I found kind of cool is the fact that on that night, it's probably the only time you would ever see Mr. McMahon on television not in a suit.
Oh yeah, I mean, to me, that was what should have happened, breaking kayfabe, and that's how you do it.
Yeah,
You have to be you, be the real you, and show that this is not a Mr. McMahon or The Rock or Stone Cold. These are the real people.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of a great thing. And Vince McMahon always led by example, I think. And there's one speech that Stephanie made that really, it didn't necessarily throw me off. It threw a lot of people off when she compared the terrorist attack to her own family being sued. Like, I don't think you want to bring that up.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's gonna definitely be, you talk about the whole Benoit thing.
Yeah.
This brought people together.
Oh yeah.
And they still wrestled,
Yeah.
But
it was the largest assembly of people anywhere at the time, just days after the attack.
And I always do tribute to the troops now.
Oh,
so
yeah, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, every December.
Yeah.
And I think that'll never change.
No, that's not going to change anytime soon. Another moment I thought of that I found pretty cool, not just for myself, but for one of the people that were a participant, you could say. Pretty sure it was a SmackDown moment, but the time Hulk Hogan and Edge were a tag team, and I believe they ended up winning the tag titles, because it's like Edge, of course, like many of us, were a huge Hulk fan, and the whole say your prayers, take your vitamins.
Well, you were a Hulk fan.
And say your prayers and all this other stuff. But just to be able to say that you got to be in a ring with somebody that you looked up to and you idolized and you were a fan of, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you're right. This was actually Billy and Chuck versus Hogan and Edge. And what, as you mentioned, it is cool to see you're a wrestler, and the main reason that you got into wrestling is because of your favorite wrestler.
Yeah.
So in Edge's case, it was Hulk Hogan. You'd probably want to win to take titles with Shawn Michaels. No?
Maybe, yeah.
Oh, who was your favorite wrestler then?
I've had so many people ask me that, and really, there hasn't been one wrestler that really has stood out that I would say is like my all-time favorite. Because I like The Rock, I like Austin, I like Taker, I like Michaels, Triple H, you know, Batista, Randy Orton, several others. I mean, if I would really, truly, definitively have an answer as for a wrestler that I enjoyed and could say is my favorite, and somebody that could kind of relate to as far as way of living, well, there's a little bit of difference in the way of living, but way of living in general,
Yeah.
probably Rey Mysterio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we all know that I'm a Bret Hart fan, a Steve Austin fan. I also like Randy Savage. You know, if you were a wrestler and you got to be a tag team champion with one of those, that would be fucking cool.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that not Edge, but Adam Copeland, realizing his dream, it really made a lot of sense to put those two together.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, this was probably one of the best tag teams of that time. And I think that, and there's probably never gonna be another tag team like that. I don't know, but it is true. I think that Edge and Hulk Hogan, as much as I've already said about Hogan, was probably, well, made for each other.
Yeah.
I guess. So.
Was it a SmackDown moment at the time that Big Show ate some burritos and he ended up in the bathroom and he was looking for toilet paper and Eddie Guerrero was outside the stall like, nah man, there's no toilet paper here. Or maybe that's not as that's just something that came to mind that I thought was funny.
So on that note, this was a pretty good episode.
Yes.
You know, I've tried to think of ideas. You know, it is hard because, like, Death Before Dishonor just passed, and I'm not quite sure what other pay-per-views coming up. We just had...
Battle for Glory is this Sunday.
Okay. I wish I would have known that. Anyways, so, for me and Matt, this is Killer Kyle. And we'll think about next week.
We'll think about next week and we'll see you again.